I'm again sitting, waiting to pick up my granddaughter, and that was going over some Facebook and YouTube feeds, and the Colorado shooting, it keeps coming up, and Josh Fearstein, I believe he's being called now, Fearmonger Fearstein, was saying that Christians should do to Planned Parenthood doctors what he thinks Planned Parenthood doctors are doing to children, calling for them to be murdered, torn apart, the usual stupid shit that Christian fundamentalists say. I should say, religious fundamentalists say. And it reminded me of some questions for atheists. It was a video I saw a while back, and it was just reminding me of what would it take for me to believe in not just a Christian God, but any God. And the answer is always evidence. Always evidence. But the evidence, what kind of evidence, of course, makes a difference. And the evidence that I would like to see, because I know I can't prove that there's no God. I believe that there's no God wholeheartedly. So I'm going to say there's just no God. And in order for somebody to convince me of a God, they would have to show me that people that have belief in a particular or in any supernatural being have some sort of favor with that supernatural being. Most Christians, and I have to go with Christians because I'm in America, in the South, most Christians believe that, or many Christians believe that the reason we have school shootings now is because we took God out of school. And we have all this violence because we have non-believers, and there's the gay marriage now, and there's all this horrible things that we do against God, so that's why God is now either punishing us or not protecting us. So evidence, to me, that would be incredibly damning towards me is if you could show me statistically how believing in God has increased the favor of the religious. If you could go back through time and show me how there are less child molesting, less murders, less violence towards those particular people that are believers. Let's take pedophilia, child molestation, as a prime example of this. There are child molesters in daycare. There are child molesters in school. There are child molesters ingrained in churches. In every organization you're going to have, whether they believe or don't believe, you're going to have a certain percentage of people that are going to attempt to molest children. If you could show me statistically that there is less of that happening in churches where they supposedly believe and have the favor of an all-powerful supernatural being that they pray to protect them. If you could show me where there's less pedophilia in churches and more in other places relative to a religious institution, that would be a huge step into showing that, yes, doing prayer and worshiping and whatever it is that the majority of people think they need to do to get the protection of their magical, invisible friend, they would have to show me that it's working. Do you get favors for believing? If you don't, then all you're doing is telling scare stories and not getting any benefit. That would be the evidence I would have to have. You can't just tell me I'm going to burn in hell if I don't do this, and if I pray, God will save me and protect me and help me, and then I don't see anything except your threats of violence towards me. So if you are a Christian, a believer, a Muslim or whatever, if you have some sort of evidence that shows that believers grant more favor, are granted more favor by their invisible friend than non-believers, if less Christians are hit by tornadoes than atheists, if less Christians are murdered or stolen from or get in car accidents, if Christians have less bad things happen to them because they're praying to the proper authority, proper God, I would like to see that. But I can already tell you, I've looked, and it's either statistically the same, it doesn't matter, it's a moot point, or it's far worse in, say, with like pedophilia in the church. So, evidence, statistics, you can go back through time. And if you could show me through time the evidence that believing in God grants you a higher percentage of success, or a less percentage of having something terrible happen to you, let me have it. Otherwise, you've got nothing.